What's up, world? It is that time for the Primetime Angles on IG Live. And boy, oh boy, I got some good stuff for you guys today. But gotta be back and forth looking at my notepad and everything, aka my iPhone, and all that good stuff, because I am recording this on my iPad and everything. But it is another episode of Primetime Angles on IG Live. And boy, oh boy, it seems like this is a pretty cool new format and everything like that. So I hope you guys are enjoying it. Yesterday's video is exclusively on YouTube. The IG version was actually blocked because I had some music in the background and I didn't put up the right wording. So pretty much you already know what IG is going to do. They go ahead and they just take that away from you. So literally, it is on the YouTube right now. You guys can go ahead and subscribe to Prime Wave Media, and it will be right there. And boom, there it is. It's the first video up there that you see, and that is pretty much our first episode on IG Live. I've done streams on Periscope and YouTube and all that good stuff, but now we've taken it to the IG Live. So maybe if my good close friends are around, I can go ahead and answer a question for them or all that good stuff. So pretty much, man, you already know what it is, though. Let's go ahead and jump into it. You know, we here to talk sports, not here for me to babble all day. So here we are. We're a week away from the bubble. And we do have a team in the AFC that a lot of teams are overlooking, and that's going to be the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, the Grizzlies did receive some bad news yesterday. Justice Winslow hurt his hip, and this morning it was confirmed that Justice Winslow will be out for the remainder of the season, and that is a critical blow. But at the end of the day, I think with the momentum and with the way that they were already written off before the season started, this team is still going to step it up here. I really do like the team that they do have here. They have Ja Morant, the Rookie of the Year. I don't care what anybody says. Yes, Zion, you played great, but every time you hurt your finger or something, you know, you got to go on the injury reserve or pinky toe or something. You got to go on the injury reserve. Ja Morant has been out there. He dealt with the storm, the pretty much the bad parts of your rookie season early. Then he got comfortable and became one of the top guards in the top 10 guards in the league. He's not top 5 yet, but he's top 10, and he's playing the game the way that the game is supposed to be played. And I truly do feel like this will be the difference between the Grizzlies and every other team. And then he has a good running mate with Jaren Jackson at the same time too. Jaren Jackson is one of the most slept on players in the NBA. It's simply because they play for Memphis. It's that simple. Memphis is a team that is always lingering around the 7th or 8th seed. Even when they're a top tier team in the 4th or 5th seed, they still get overlooked. But Memphis is still a team that will always loom a danger in a situation like this. They only need to actually win about 5 games here. Okay, and they're already 3.5 games ahead, so they already in a good spot as is. And I don't see this team losing 8 games in a row. But I know a lot of people favor the Pelicans because who the Pelicans have, and I know that they're really excited because you know Zion and Zoe and Bi and all those great players that are down there, all that great youth. And I really truly think that the team that is the most overlooked, the team that nobody's paying attention to, is going to be your 8th seed in the playoffs this year. And, you know, I know the Blazers seem like they should be the fit as the 8th seed because, come on, they got CJ and they got Lillard and they got Carmelo. And, you know, their center just returned as well, too, Yurk. So the thing is, I know a lot of people feel like the Blazers can push the table a little bit and give the Lakers a run for their money. But you know what? We will see. Because the Lakers, I can see the Lakers being a very lax team here in this 8-game, you know, practice module. Because that whole adding in 6 teams thing is just a little bit blasphemy to me. I know that, you know, you want to give everybody a chance, but it's just a really big logjam in the Western Conference when you got teams that are all 3.5 games out, but then you have teams that are 5 games out as well too. But there's another team that's on the bubble in the bubble that I'm going to talk about in a moment. But let's go ahead and talk about this team real quick. And I forgot to put up the Grizzlies logo as I was talking about the Grizzlies, but I won't miss with this one right here. So This is my next topic. The Brooklyn Nets. Who are the Brooklyn Nets going to select as their head coach coming up? I think that the Brooklyn Nets honestly need to go with this guy right here. And I know this will shock you, but this guy right here, since they don't want to have it, since I'm blocking his picture, but this guy right here needs to be the next head coach of the Brooklyn Nets. I think that Mark Jackson has sat on the bench long enough, and I think that the Nets are calling for a city son to come out there and coach him up. Now, we do know that Mark is from Queens, but still, the Brooklyn Nets would relish with a coach like Mark Jackson. He's the right type of fit for what's going on with this team. You know what I mean? He's a guy who that pretty much can coach stars. He developed Clay and Steph Curry and Draymond Green, and the finished product was taken to the finals by Steve Kerr. And we all know what put them over the top. That was getting Iguodala. So it didn't matter who their coach really was. To be honest, they would have won a championship. But this team was built by Mark Jackson. The spirit of this team was built by Mark Jackson. All what Kerr did was put on the final polish. And I know a lot of people know me for years. I was very, very, very against Mark Jackson being hired as a coach again from the stories that I heard in Golden State. But you know what? It works both ways, man. Sometimes players just don't cooperate the proper way. And some of these guys like Mark Jackson are very old school. So he didn't handle it the correct way at that time. But I think that he's matured over the years. And I think that now he'll be good enough to go ahead and coach a team and coach with the pressure that's already there, coaching the Nets. And I think they can be successful. And I think this is the coach that Kyrie and KD need to move forward with, because he's a coach that's not scared to coach them. He's not scared to challenge them. They don't need a yes man like Tyronn Lue. I'm sorry, Tyronn Lue is suited to be a assistant coach, just like he was when LeBron won the championship in 2016. LeBron literally was coaching that team, and Tyronn Lue was sitting there clapping his hands and having his arms folded around, in his arms folded. It's that simple, man. And what's up? Shout out to the man, my man, Jimmy Mack. Jimmy Mack, that guy's a Bruin legend. One of these days, I have to have him come in and talk with us real quick and give us some good Cade McNown stories and playing for old Bob Toledo and all that good stuff. He played in a good era for UCLA football and everything like that. But that's my man right there, Jimmy Mack. What's up, Jimmy Mack? Jimmy Mack's a big boxing fan as well, too. So you guys, he always has some good stuff to talk about as well, too. I'm waiting for him to invite me onto his show, his podcast. But Jimmy, I'm going to get you on here one of these days, man. We'll set it up, man. I'll get in the DM with you soon, and I'll set it up with you, dog, and we'll talk about it, because I really do want to hear some of these Cade McNown stories, because, man, oh, man, I remember them days at the Rose Bowl. I'm a Pasadena boy, so, you know, them free tickets that they get to the school and everything like that, we took full advantage of that. So we was at a lot of those Cade McNown games where he was throwing 70-yard bombs on the run. You know, that's nuts. That is nuts. So, Brooklyn, you guys make up your mind. Pick the right coach. You probably won't, but Mark Jackson is the perfect fit for you guys, and that's all I need to say about that. That's all I need to say about that. But we're going to move on. Let's talk about a team that really relishes the fact that they will play the underdog, and that is going to be the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics have probably the best young duo when it comes to perimeter players in Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. These two guys are, you know, they're doing nothing but improving and becoming better players. A lot of people are very excited about Jason Tatum. I haven't seen it yet. Jason Tatum reminds me a lot of his godfather, uncle, Larry Hughes. You know, the same type of game. Larry Hughes had a lot of hype to him as well, too. But there would be times where Larry Hughes didn't show up as well, too. So it is what it is at the end of the day. So Jason Tatum has had a good little time to be off and enjoy you know, getting better and things like that. See, that's my thing. Young players should be really, really good at this point. And the older players, we know that they're going to be like, okay, I'm a half-ass it in practice, and then, you know, pretty much when we get to the game, that's when I'm going to turn it on. But these young boys, though, they're gonna impress us, man, because this is almost like being in summer league all over again. But you got the top pros playing in it, and so you got guys that want to prove themselves to other cats, and they're gonna be playing in a bubble. They're playing in a little gym, so compared to the NBA arena, that gym it's a gym. You know what I mean? And it's like going over to 24-hour fitness with the expanded, but just with a bit of an expanded gym, it is the right floor. You know what I mean? It is 94 feet, but still, at the end of the day, though, you know what I mean? It's not an NBA arena, and they not gonna be able to put in the crowd noise and everything. But Boston's the type of team that relishes this type of factor. You know what I mean? They got Taco Fall, who's 7'6". They're gonna be pulling him out in certain situations that will curtail, pretty much a win or a loss. And I think that Taco Fall, if he can get 15, 20 minutes of good time, Boston is going to be a tough team to beat. That's almost like having, extended Bill Russell out there a bit, because the guy's going to be blocking shots. The guy's going to be getting every cleaning off the glass every time the ball drops his way. So, Boston's sitting here with a good hand right now. Their whole basis is the health of Kemba Walker. Kemba Walker had a bad knee most of the season, and I know that he's had a good time to rehab and everything like that over the past few months, but it might not be enough time, though, at this point. You know what I mean? But I truly do feel like Boston is a sleeper that we all need to pay attention to, and they will relish the underdog role. So when you see them as an underdog in a game you feel like they can win, or if they're just over there overestimating the Celtics that night, I gotta go ahead and circle them boys, man. That's exactly what I gotta do. But we move on. Let's go ahead and talk about a team that used to be they used to be a constant in the playoffs, but now they're at the phase of where they are about to go back to being exactly who they were before certain players got there. And let's go ahead and talk about the Spurs. The Spurs' biggest star cannot be their head coach. I'm sorry. Greg Popovich is a hell of a coach, but we all know that Greg Popovich was able to ride the coattails of his big three, Parker, Ginobili, and Tim Duncan, and he was able to have some very valuable bench players over time as well too with him. And he's a great coach. He coaches teams very well. But my whole thing is, when it comes down to it, he doesn't have the horses like he used to. DeMar DeRozan is a above average player that they consider a star. Then you got Lamarcus Aldridge, a guy who's not going to be in the playoffs with them because he's out for the rest of the season. Lamarcus Aldridge has been somewhat of a shell of himself since coming from Portland, because he did have to play with Timmy the first few seasons, and Lamarcus has not been the dominant player that he was in Portland, in my opinion. Because you could depend on Lamarcus to go out there and get 30, 40 points when he needs to. And that just wasn't the case this season. And it feels like San Antonio was going through the motions a lot. But they caught a groove right before we went on break. So pretty much this is a team that still looms the danger somewhat. And that's why I'm even mentioning them right now. Because for me to raise you up, I got to put you down a little bit. So with that, I really do feel like the Spurs will be able to maybe make a move here. That's the team that everybody needs to look out for, because when you have Pop in a do or die situation, man, it's a dangerous situation for a team that feels like that they may be the better team. And that's just that simple. But the Spurs have to do a lot of climbing to get to where they need to be. And honestly, we all know if the season would have finished up, they would have been right there, maybe a game or two out. But now they only got 8 games to try to get into the playoffs. We will see how it goes. But the Spurs, you already know. You already know that the Spurs are going to be a team that's going to play. They're going to play their hand a little bit. They got an overall team. It's not about having a star. It's just about going out there and winning the game. That's simple as simple is. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about something real boring. Well, it's boring to most people, but I love it. The American pastime, baseball. Let's go ahead and get into this over-under wins total real quick. And up first, we got that team from the South Side, and that's going to be the Chicago White Sox. Chicago White Sox actually have had their over under bumped up 2.5 wins. I had them winning over 30 games this season. I think that they could play maybe a factor into the Central Division this year, but I still think that it might come. It's probably going to come down to the Indians, and it's probably going to come down to the Twins as well too. But we will see though. But this is going to be a division. Either it's going to be a very close division, or it's going to be a division where you have teams where you have one dominant team that runs away with it. To be dead honest with you, okay. But I do have the White Sox going under 32.5 wins. I think that their peak is 32 wins. I think that they win 30 for sure, and maybe so meet me in the middle at 31. How about that? How about that? So then we cash out both of the tickets. But this is under 32.5 wins for the White Sox this year. And boom, there it is. We move on. You got the Indians. The Indians, I got the Indians sitting here with the over 33.5 wins on the season. And boy, oh boy, this one is going to be a team that all depends on how they start. If they start off very well, the Indians are going to be tough to beat. If they start off slow, it's going to probably be a monster sprint to the finish, and hopefully they can come up and get to the championship, but usually they haven't been good in that situation. But the Indians, if they jump out and they play very comfortable baseball to start the season off, they looked very comfortable at home the other day, they should be able to take this division. And the Indians are a team that is a strong bet to win the Central as well too. White Sox are as well. White Sox are a good doggy bet. But I think this one though is one that you can invest in. This is an investment. So the Indians over 33.5 wins. Let's see. Let's see what it do. I think that this team is good to win 35, 36 games this year. All right, so we move on, and we got the next team up, and that's going to be who else, man? The lowly of the low. That's going to be the Detroit Tigers. The Detroit Tigers, I have them over 21.5 wins, but they peak at 22 wins. So hopefully my man Lou Gamelin watches this later on and sees that his team does have a chance, because I'll tell you this. The Tigers are the type of team, as a big underdog, they will be able to get themselves some big wins. Last year, we were able to come up big. They played a 4-game series against the Astros. They beat them 3 out of 4. Yeah, they did that. And they had them as the highest dog of the season. And, we most definitely took them. It was on a Saturday afternoon as well, too. And so, this team will present very, very strong value when it comes down to it. So the Tigers going over 21.5 games is very possible, and that's why I'm circling it, man. I think that they can win 22 games this year. We're going to peak them at 22, all right? 22 games this year. They'll still be a bad team. They'll still be 16 below 500 at the end of the year. The 22-38, all right? There it is. That's my bold prediction for the Detroit Tigers. All right, we move on to another lowly team, and that's going to be the Kansas City Royals. The Kansas City Royals are pegged at 24 wins. I think this team doesn't even get to the 20s this season. They're going to be bad. Seriously, they don't really have anybody this year. They are in a real rebuilding phase. They're playing with a lot of young players as well, too. So we'll see how it goes, but I don't see Kansas City doing much, and I have them under 24 wins here. Now, let's talk about the team that does pose the danger to the Indians, but they do probably have the best resume and the best lineup going right now, because they played well last season and they played well the season before. This could be the year that they break out right here. The Twins had one of the most potent hitting lineups in the league last year, and what does it look like this year? They're pretty much the same, but it all comes down to their pitching. And at the end of the day, they can't just ride Barrios. That's one day. They're going to have to figure out, winning game, stringing it together, some really good wins and everything like that. And the way that their schedule is set up, they do have to play a lot of divisional games early. So, everybody got to play a lot of divisional games, period. So it's pretty much, in my opinion, I feel like this team right here will still have a big shot to do what they do, maybe win the AL Central, But when it comes down to the playoffs, they're probably going to be, you know, sent to exit stage left very early if they do make the playoffs. The Indians, to me, are a team that can make a very deep run. I just feel like Minnesota is still a few players away from really being a really dominant team. So that's where I have the Twins at. Under 34.5 wins on the season. Now we move on to the National League, and let's go ahead and talk about the guys on the north side, and that's going to be the Cubbies. And the Cubbies, I should have put some money on the Cubbies. They won it all. The Cubbies was a year late with that as well too, but you know what? They still won the World Series and everything like that. And I do feel like the winning the World Series kind of took away the hurt and anguish and the motivation for the Cubs. The Cubs have been decent the last few seasons. They got X-nayed by the Dodgers the year after they won the World Series. Then they missed the playoffs by just a bit the next year. And then the year after that, they missed the playoffs again just by a bit. So this year, I think they're going to miss the playoffs by a lot, to be honest with you. I just didn't like the I know it was a practice game, but sometimes you can tell when guys are really into it, and I don't think the Cubs are that into this type of shortened season. And I think that the Cubs, knowing them, they're probably going to have a slow start this year as well, too. So that's why I'm thinking that the under 32 wins is a significant play, and I'm going to rock with it. Under 32 wins on the Cubbies. Now we move on, and we got the Reds, the Cincinnati Reds. I think they're going to be the surprise of baseball. I know I've said this about other teams as well too, but this team right here has pitching, they have hitting, and they have a pretty good bullpen as well too, and they got an attitude. You know what I mean? This is a frustrated team. They're ready to start winning some baseball games. That showed last year, and they got a lot of fight to them, and I like that. And I think that the Reds, they got the distractions out the room as well too. Players that are just being goofballs. I think that what happens here is that they're going to wind up being a team that winds up being really good this season, and they could wind up still in the NL Central as well too. I'm taking them with the over 32 wins, man. I think that they're going to have a much better season than the Cubs this year, to be honest with you. All right, we move on, and let's go ahead and talk about a team that's always playing the bully role, and that's going to be the Milwaukee Brewers. The Brewers, man, I'm telling you right now, they have one of the best lineups in the league, hitting wise as well too. They got Yelich returning. Hopefully they can get Ryan Braun to be the MVP that he was years ago. And the pitching rotation, the way that their pitching game is set up, it's one of the most unique ones in the game, where you got guys from the bullpen who start the game, and then you got pitchers who are starting, coming in the third, fourth inning, taking over for 4 or 5 innings. Then you open it up for the closer, and you go from there. But the Brewers seem to be a team that's going to be very good again, and I really like where the Brewers are going with this. So I'm going to go ahead and take the over 34 wins with the Brewers this season. I think that they have the best shot of winning the title in the NL Central this year. That's why I'm taking the over 34 wins here. I think that they could possibly run away with this if they get off to a hot start themselves. All right, so we move on, and we got the St. Louis Cardinals, a team that always seems to be a team that can be very reliable, in my opinion. You know what I mean? That's how I feel about them, is that they can be very reliable for you moving forward, especially in a big game against another elite team. The Cardinals seem to always show up, and the Cardinals, though, they just don't have the star power that they use, that most other teams in this division have. But it's okay. They still play great fundamental baseball, and they got a great tradition. And I think that the Cardinals, after last year and the way that they got beat by the Nationals in the championship series, that set off a bad taste in their mouth. So I know they can't wait to get back on the field and play some baseball. So that over 31.5 wins, that's going to me definitely happen. I think that they're going to be in a heavy race with the Brewers and the Reds at the end of the year. So we're going to see how it goes. But I do like the Cardinals over 31.5 wins. And then we got the Buccos. My man Steve from Erie told me the other day they don't have a shot. I think I'm going to have to go with his advice, because he's been a Pittsburgh fan for a very long time, and they just really don't have much when I look at the roster. So I feel like the Pirates are about maybe 4 or 5 years away from being a team that can be credible in this league at this moment. I feel like at this time that they're just a team that's going to be, you know, out there. That's it. And but the thing about the Pirates is they'll catch us slipping and they'll get us a big dog cash out as well too. So don't sleep on the Pirates too much. But I think the Pirates are destined for the basement in the NL Central. All right, so that's going to wrap up our over and unders for the AL and NL Central today. I'm going to move on and we're going to go ahead and talk about some horse racing, and that's going to be my final topic right here. But we are going to talk about some horse racing over at Louisiana Downs. And up first at Louisiana Downs, we do have ourselves a very, very fun race here. This is going to be a race between 2-year-olds. This is the leadoff, as I say, race 1. And this is going to be maiden special weight as well, too, for $18,000. Our key horse here is going to be My Alibi. My Alibi is a horse that was sired by Bodemeister, the runner-up in the Kentucky Derby, and one of the best sires in the world as we speak. So My Alibi is 7-2 morning line, but they do have a horse with experience there that will be the heavy favorite. This is going to be the debut for My Alibi as well too. But just off the pedigree alone, I think that this horse has a big shot. Last time I checked, it's 23-1, but I most definitely know we will not get 23-1 on a Bodemeister horse. So there it is. I'm going to go ahead and take the key horse being the 2 horse, and we're going to go ahead and key this horse in. And I'm going to have to switch this up because I didn't fix it the way I was supposed to fix the first race. So when I tweet it out, you guys will see something a bit different. But I got the 2 here as our key horse. And I'm going to roll with the other horses that I just talked about with who were a bit better than have the experience as well too. So you know you can't leave them out. So if you're playing an early pick 3 or something of that nature, you have to go ahead and really play this thing out smart and go ahead and add other horses here as well too. Let's go ahead and get to it. Just bear with me. We got 40 minutes before the start of the first race as well too. But right now My Alibi is sitting at 15-1. We have another, so we're gonna throw in Wink Texas here, which is the 4 horse, and we're also gonna throw in the 5 horse Squawks. That horse is 9-5 right now as well too. And we're also going to go ahead and throw in I really like this horse a lot too. We're going to throw in the 1 horse as well too. So we're going to rock with the 1, 2, 4, 5 box here. But I would say you guys can go ahead and key this as well too. You guys can key this with the 2 and make it a 2, 1, 4, 5 in your exact try superfecta boxes. Now we move on to race 4, which is my best value, and this is going to be a race that I do like a lot. This is going to be a maiden claiming race. Here it's going to be 3-year-olds and up at 8.5K. All right, so literally this is going to be a race that is between older horses. Every horse is 3 and up. We even have a 5-year-old here. So I'm going to roll with the 5 horse here, Cazadora. Cazadora is going to be ridden by Hector Del Cid. And the horse did decent last time out, finished 4th out of 5th. But this is a different field. The horse is coming down in class as well, too. So I think the class will back this horse up. And I know that it will be bet down much better from the 8-1 that it's sitting at right now. Hopefully we can get nothing lesser than 5-1 though on this horse, but we will see how it goes. It seems like they do have a monster favorite here as well, so we should be able to get a price here in race 4, and that's going to be for the maiden claimers, and this is my best value of the day. We're going to put Cazadona with the horse by the name of I'm Not Shy. That's the 2 horse, and also throw in the 7 horse, who is a horse by the name of Twins Plus a Dot, and then we're also going to throw in Little Girls Rule, who's the 8 horse as well too. So these are some really good horses here, and I feel like this could be a ice cold superfecta if it works out the way that it's supposed to work out. So there it is, 5, 2, 7, 8. You can box them up 2, 5, 7, 8, or you can key it 5 with the 2, 7, and the 8, and that's for your exact trifecta and your superfecta. Now we move on to my final group of the day. This is going to be a horse by the name of This is going to be a horse by the name of Big Gig, and Big Gig is going to be a horse that I think that should run big today. And Big Gig is this is a wide open race to be exact too. So this is a type of race where you trying to really find yourself here. But we got a 7-2 here with Big Gig, and we're going to pair Big Gig with the 4, the 5, the 8, and the 11 here. And that's going to be our super high 5. Usually when you do that bet and you box it up, it's going to be $60, but you can key it for 24, okay? So the reason why it is a lot, because the thing is you're going to make over at least $100 minimum here, okay? If you can get 5 horses home. But the thing is, if you box it, we have to make sure that our 10 horse is the winner. But if you, key it. I'm sorry, if you key it. But if you box it, we just got to make sure all 5 horses come home. So, I would suggest to box it. This could be, if you can afford to box, $60. But all in all, pretty much it's a good bet, super high 5. I love it. I've hit it several times before. And I think that, it's a good little challenge for us as well, too. So, there it is. There it is. And with that, that's going to go ahead and wrap up our show for today. I thank you guys very much. I'll be back tomorrow at the same time. I'm going to be interviewing Ray Flores tomorrow for Fanatics View. And then I'll be back tomorrow talking about the AL and NL West. But I might say the NL West until Thursday because I have to. I might have to say the NL West until later on because I do have to do the show later on with Lou Gamlin. But we'll see how it goes. But it's getting hot here in LA, man. So I'm going to go over here and get up under some of this AC, man. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. This is the Primetime Angles brought to you by Prime Wave Media Group. And I'll be back at you guys tomorrow. Have a beautiful day. And, man, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. And I'm on my way out.